And we will call this November the 13th, 2019 meeting of the joint meeting with the APC and the BZA to order. Please join me in the pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
and roll call.
Ruby Seiler.
Present.
Leota. Brian.
Here.
Ed Harrell.
Here.
Gary Naylor.
Present.
Kay Riker Payton. Chad Frank.
Here.
Bill Mackey.
Here.
Stephanie McCann. Bill McDaniel.
Present.
Jeff Westling.
Okay, well, Jeff didn't need to be here because we were kind of past at least a lull and we will need assistance from Jeff. So, and this is also the evening for the Rush County area plan. Rush County Plan
Is that
Commission.
yours?
And myself.
Yep. Okay, and if you could also then, since it's a combined meeting, also run through the roll call then also for the BZA.
Okay. Carrie Steele. Bill Crawford. Jeff Fisher. Ruby. Leota. Bill McDaniel.
Present.
Attorney, none. And myself.
Did they know it was joint meeting?
Yeah, they got the same thing everybody else did.
Okay.
So,
I thought Kerry understood that.
Okay, and we will postpone the approval of the minutes until the next meeting. They're not available tonight. The public hearings.
Okay, well, Anna sent me an email to apologize and Kay also sent me an email to let me know they came up with some late conflicts.
Anna's not gonna be here.
No, Anna's not gonna be here, so I asked her to, for some, just an update, and that's what this one paper here, the second one that isn't attached with the paper clips, just the completed project elements. So far, they've held a series of actual meetings with dealing with, like I said, we have here the demographics, health and wellness, housing, institutional profile, labor market, land use, parks and recreation, quality of life, and transportation. Now, this is, part of it is what have we accomplished based on the last comprehensive plan, and also what else is going on in Fayette County at this time, other projects. So, for example, one of the things that was looked at and taken into consideration was from the community voices. So, which had a lot of people involved in Connersville, well, Fayette County was involved in that project. So, we took a lot from them and included that then in the review of the project. And then there's several things that are still going on, still some meetings to have. And when these are completed, this is gonna be, it takes care of what is typically the most time-consuming and the most expensive part of any comprehensive plan project, which is all the front end is the gathering of the data, a lot of the actual community meetings to gather the data, and a lot of guided meetings. So that will be, after this, then sometime working toward, next year to then ideally want to get this going. So it'll be between the, what's going on with the foundation, whatever we may be able to help with, whether some assistance from Okra, maybe some more help from the Sea Grant program with Purdue, which has helped fund this, and then also the Simpson County. So we can then put together then the request for the qualifications, and then put out the advertising for a consultant to help with the comprehensive plan. And so that's really what we have right there that's going on. So I think if anyone has any questions about this with the process or what's really happening in the next steps, is, I think, I doubt Anna would have a problem if anybody contacts her to get a little more information. And then to also, start, you know, take part in any of the other things that are still going on. Now, what's related with this is, this next part is the, from the Planning Association Conference. And it's kind of interesting because a lot of time I go to these conferences is, being from a small rural community that's struggling is you usually don't have very much that's helpful for you. A lot of the people the presentations are from communities with a nice problem to have is that, gee, we got too much growth. How do we manage it? And manage it smarter. We, on the other hand, of course, have a completely different set of problems. So, like I said, so interestingly, had some things that are very helpful. It'll be helpful with the comprehensive plan and then some of the other things we need to do with the rules of procedure and improving the staff report. So for example, in the spring, it's build on how to build public art in your community from planning to construction and maintenance considerations. The short part of that is there's a lot of projects that have gone on with actual planning for public art. It's becoming more common to have public art and other types of amenities included in comprehensive plans. Okay, then there's things that we can get help with from small amounts of financial help if you get to certain points with a age-friendly community. Right now, from the AARP, right now there's only 3. The nearest one to us is Fishers. Fishers, South Bend, and I think Terre Haute is the other. And so it really comes down to emphasizing that, of which once again is comprehensive plans are starting to look a little bit more at things such as put into place your demographics of an aging population. Since we're aging rapidly and we really aren't having we're still having a lot of the youth leaving and not coming back, it's going to be more and more important, and it focuses on the quality of life for the seniors, but others. And transportation is really going to be a big part. It kept coming out at some of the different the comprehensive plan group meetings. Now, the first session on the fall conference this last year was interesting, and I think it's appropriate. I think Mr. Frank probably understands some of this also, because the question they opened up with is, okay, who knows what executive housing is? Well, who wants to build executive housing in their community? So it just led into the discussion was, okay, how the housing development market works, where the funding comes from, and the different things that are looked at, making the decisions to bring someone in to make that type of investment. And an important part is the absorption rate. The potential absorption rate is very, very critical, because it's a financial decision. They're not going to leave their investment sitting there if they can't go ahead and the housing they build or they set up the subdivision can't be developed. Okay, other things so that was one part of it right there, but it's and so I think that would be helpful as we're going through the comprehensive plan process of, if not these people that presented, because they're planners, one's a landscape architect, and they're both professional residential real estate developers. And they spoke about you also have, the decisions they make is looking at the amenities of what you have. They look at everything from social profiles, demographic profiles, economic profiles on a community making these. And it really is it's a rational economic process. And so but it'll be an important one, I think, as we go through the comprehensive plan and developing it, to help people involved with developing the comprehensive plan, and probably get also then for the economic development group, the people involved with mortgage, local banks, realtors, the city and county government, understanding more of this. And the next one is pretty appropriate since we're having right now it's up to today was either the 15th or the 16th, Amish household that purchased property in Fayette County. So it's a growing population that's going to. And and things of course are done differently because transportation needs are certainly they're certainly different. And a big part of that is that there are on-farm workshops. It's a significant part of within Amish communities. And it's also something I think if Gary can recall going way back about the time I started, we had discussions about how do we do things with changing certain things as far as helping the rural economy, not just really looking at the farm economy. So, that's the sort of thing right there. Okay, and for the next part, adapting allowable land uses for the next generation. Deb's nephew was one of the presenters. And Adam, who for summer was also my intern. But is really great information. I think that's something else that we will probably need going through developing the comprehensive plan. And basically it's about how various reasons, economically, socially, culturally, for a whole range of reasons there's different life expectations, some of which are forced with the economic reality that they've grown up with. And the understanding that they will most likely be part of a generation that's less affluent than their parents' generation was. They see it, their debt loads, all sorts of things that are going on from they go to school, things get changed, and just the way college educations are funded now, it's much more difficult, much more expensive. Different living situations, working situations being a lot more flexible. And so it's going to be looking at, as we look at, some of this will be in the comprehensive plan, then also things that could be tied into revising things within the zoning code to recognize this, to number one, retain our own youth, okay, get them to come back to town, and then attracting other people from younger generations. Then there's one with Pete Fritz, who's a planner. He's also already been here in Connersville with this project, but it's the general idea is this Healthy Indiana. It's the developing alternatives for increasing pedestrian opportunities, bicycle opportunities, as far as transportation, make it easier to get around, and not that this is going to be an end-all, but as part of trying to have a healthier community by making it easier to get around without having to drive a car. And the next one was it's using community engagement to inform public space planning for healthy communities. And the main part of Carolyn Bunzendahl and the Oasis was the star of that presentation. And it really comes off of a lot of what's going on with the extension with the healthy foods. And so they started off with it's a public space. It's now going to be publicly owned now that Jimmy's going to sell the property. And so it's going to be a permanent location for the Oasis right there down with the Main Street with the Connersville. But it's the sort of thing where you can use projects like this to attract people. You can use it as a community gathering space, such as when they had the movie down there for the Hocus Pocus, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's a little place for people to gather, but it's also the big part was to educate people about how they can help feed themselves, grow their own food, how food is. Food comes from the ground before it goes to the grocery stores. And a lot of people really aren't aware of where the food comes from or how it's grown. That's to help people also then on their own start, their own gardens. And Carolyn made a comment about that. People say, well, aren't you afraid that people are gonna come by and then help themselves to the food? The tomatoes? He goes, that's the point. We want them to help themselves to the food. We want them to eat healthy. We want this food there for people to have. And since, a big part of Connersville, particularly down that part of this part of Connersville, is, as I think most people have heard the term food deserts, because we really do have it in this part of town. And for a lot of people lacking a lot of transportation is, especially with what changing the IGA, there's not a lot of opportunities for really, you're kind of limited to 2 grocery stores now up north end town, for any type of produce. And the last one was, once again, was Adam. It was stick to the findings. And it really made some suggestions I can use, is that I know after some recent conversations with Jeff, is I'm probably providing too much information in the staff reports, and Gary, yes, is vigorously agreeing with that. That cutting it down to just what's really necessary. So, for example, is if I find that, say a petitioner's like, I find staff findings, yes, for these reasons, yes, I agree. Instead of some of the humongous findings I've lately been doing. So improving that, streamlining it, and then just trying to not to just giving you all the necessary information. And then as far as the annual plan goes, well, between this and then with the annual plan is that, I know I've had conversations with Gary about, for example, the different things that could be fixed within the problems we have within the comprehensive plan, some of which came out over within the last few months. Other ones I've discussed with Gary, such as really simple things such as anybody that's a taxing entity is just having the zoning code that. So that way, every time the city of Connersville needs a project, it needs a fee waived, then that they don't have to go to the county commissioners, because I don't have the authority to waive a fee. Now, what it would be, say, for the city, the school corporation, the library, any local political entity that generates taxes, to collect taxes.
Yeah, town of Glenwood.
What?
Town of Glenwood.
Town of Glenwood.
Townships, would they be included?
Yeah, townships.
If townships have ownership
Yeah.
in properties. and
Yeah, so
need
anybody
permit.
like that is, because using the cliche phrase, but in a way it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul.
So basically, any taxing authority.
Yeah,
that-
yep,
Any taxing unit that
Yeah.
needs a building permit
yeah.
wouldn't, they normally have to come before the commissioners,
To waive
ask
the
for,
fee.
ask for the fee to be waived. Well,
It gets tiresome.
it's just not necessary.
Yeah.
If we had it in our comprehensive plan,
Sure.
Yeah, it's just like this last week, I received 2 more of the permits for the, which of course had been waived, 2 more of the permits for the solar project. So, because that's been a lot of permits they've had to come through, and they've done it multiple times with the commissioners. Then the other things, the construction projects down at River's Edge. Now, this does not mean that people don't get permits, everybody out there. That it just means that fees are waived, the city still has to get permits, the school still has to get permits, I still have to inspect the construction, so it's just the fees are gone, but the permit requirement, the inspection requirements stay. Okay, so there's things with the, so if I can get help with, say, anticipation for the December meeting, any observations you have with language. We know some things need to be, we lack some definitions, we have some poor language through some definitions that have come up lately. But anything that anybody has like that, that really, you know that needs to be, if you can have those for me then on December. And so then I can work that into the things that we're gonna do for next year. Okay, so it's the, for example, is there's some of the things that I wanted to do for a while, and also closer. But, yeah, there's the, I mean, and it needs to be more than just, I know it's gotten to the point where it's like, I'm saying, this is what we need to do. And after some conversations, is that yeah, I want everybody to really have input, because, I mean, you don't work for me, I work for you. So, okay. I'm here to provide your staff help. Okay. So the, all right. And then there's some major, I mean, there's some things that we can do in the meantime. Is in fits and pieces, I've worked on some reformatting with what's in the zoning code right now. But other than that, there are a lot of things that probably need to be actually brought up to date, because we've had, pushing on 3 decades of changes to state laws, federal laws, Indiana case law, and federal case law. So those things need to be reflected also in the zoning code. And so what we probably need after the comprehensive plan is adopted is that will identify things that we really absolutely need to do with the zoning code. And that should follow on the heels, because the idea is that the zoning code, okay, the comprehensive plan, I know you guys have probably gotten tired of me saying it, but the comprehensive plan is the policy tool that's adopted by the city and the county to guide the development. It's a very deliberate process. The zoning code and the subdivision regulations, and updating the thoroughfare plan, those are the primary documents that really should be used to actually guide decisions as far as land use goes. And so those are things that really, really big things really should happen after that. But so there's some big projects, there's some small projects, but if there's things that need to be amended, there's things that really some bad language. Same thing goes with problems we have within the rules of procedure. Rules of procedure are a pretty easy thing to get taken care of, since they're just purely administrative. It doesn't require ordinance to be passed by the city and the county commissioners, since it's just strictly our rules, your rules, your rules and the BZA rules. You just adopt the changes. Be announced and it'll be done at a public meeting. Okay, now the expiring appointments are, you don't have to worry about any this year, Gary.
Yeah, well,
Well,
Surveyor.
I mean, yeah, I mean the civilian ones.
Yeah, the
Yes,
civilian
you don't have to
ones.
worry about any civilian ones this year. But what's expiring right now, and Ruby, if you are interested in staying on the plan commission, please let, well, I guess you can let Mr. Frank know also, he sits next to
I'm
you.
interested in it.
And same thing with Bill Crawford, his is expiring also. And of course, Bill's is a annual appointment, as is Steffi McCann for the school corporation. And, okay, and I think that moves us on to, okay.
What do you think about?
Yep, and, well, right here also is.
But what, am I hearing you say this, what I'm hearing you say is that once this comprehensive plan has been adopted,
Mhm.
that's when we need to move forward with some of these other things.
You know, with the big stuff.
Yeah,
with
to
the
make
big
sure that
major
they're in
things.
compliance or,
Yeah, and those are sort of things whereas and then putting them together in what's really actually unified development ordinance, which puts them all, which will put the, the zoning code, the subdivision regulations, the most recent iteration of the Indiana building code, to adopt the Indiana building codes, and then also the thoroughfare plan. So
making
those,
sure they're compliant with state.
yeah, that's one of the things is also compliant. And then it's also then gonna be consistent with what's adopted in the comprehensive plan. Okay, and and that's, yeah.
Hey, Bill,
Yeah,
And we will have, I know you don't have it on here, but there will be a new city council appointment as well.
okay.
Replace me.
Oh, yeah, so that would be then.
It's not on there, but it will be.
Okay. Oh, yeah, this one's just the citizen appointees.
Right. There will be a city council
Yeah.
appointment as well.
Oh, actually, I have you on the bottom of this one right here with the, this last one.
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Jumped ahead.
Yep, oh, that's okay, that's all right. But,
Yeah, right
yeah,
No,
so,
so there's no confusion with that, everybody. The position that Ruby sits on, APC and the BCA, that's the same situation we got into with Leota. It's the same person served both boards, correct?
yep, and, but actually, the mayor only appoints Ruby to the plan commission. Now, Ruby is the appointee from
From
the
the APC.
board,
Okay,
APC,
all right.
onto it, yes.
All right.
So it's, kinda like, but not like with,
Yeah.
Leota.
With
Yeah.
what we got into with
Yeah,
Leota.
yeah. And the one with Leota, what we got into with Leota, is the one that's actually required to have that consistency by, between the two boards.
Because
Now-
I know the commissioners were, our hopes was to put two different people on,
Yeah.
so we got more people involved, and Bill says, oh, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. So, but I think it did have something good that came out of it, is that, the courses prior to this is, it's, you know, been commissioner, more than once as long as you have. They're trying to get someone who might be interested in coming on one of these boards is really, especially for boards period, but especially with plan commission and zoning board. I mean, it's pretty much pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Because it's, I mean, it's, they're important boards, and, but, I guess one way to put it is, if you don't occasionally on the plan commission and zoning board, make some people angry, you're probably not doing your job. But if you aren't doing your job, you're making someone angry for another reason.
Call it a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, yeah,
Always is.
yeah, and I'm the face of it.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All of Bill's report, thank you, Bill.
Yeah, but yeah, but all the help and all the suggestions I can get, that would be really great, so, because like I said, what I need to do is that, I know a lot of things that need to be done, I have certain things that I would like to see done, that really should be done, but like I said, it's your guys'.
Well, Bill, can I ask,
Yeah,
at a certain point in time, I don't know whether it's yet this year or whether we wait till after the comprehensive plan is approved by the city and the county, but wouldn't it be a little easier if we created some sub-boards, so to speak, committees to work on some of these
oh,
projects and bring,
absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely.
two or three of us on
Yeah.
different, to have different responsibilities to look at. and-
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
Bring it back to the full commission.
yeah, absolutely. Now, for example, is,
With the K-12 ordinance.
yeah.
That's how we
Okay.
did it with
yeah,
the-
so for example, is maybe 2 or 3 people to work with me, and then, because I also asked, Jeff's gonna offer some suggestions on the rules of procedure.
Right.
He mentioned that Carrie's interested in working with the rules of
I
procedure.
know she's interested.
So there's
And
things,
and it doesn't necessarily have to be all members of this commission, or it
Yeah.
could be interested,
yeah.
whoever interested
Yeah.
citizen that wants to.
But, yeah, the other one is, say, one board would, okay, so one group might then look at, really focus on definitions. Because we know a couple of problems that came out with the definitions for lately. And it could be with, some of the things in there, there's, rather than, I mean, you might call for making major changes, but in the meantime, is what sort of tweaks can we make to the language that really isn't changing the substance of a significant piece of legislation.
So rules and procedures, is that something that we could start working on yet this year? or
Absolutely, absolutely.
With a committee maybe, or,
Yeah. Mhm.
you know, it's gonna get busy here with the holiday seasons
You
and
might as well.
But,
If we can,
You'll have several new people in January, might as well wait till you get the new people involved as well.
but what I think we can do is with the, between December and then also having what groups we're gonna have in place for January. I think if we have these in place then for January, so new people, we can then draw, so if there are any new people, we can draw them into this.
Hopefully,
Already
unofficially,
Yeah, yeah,
Would you
unofficially,
agree,
we can get started with things
Chad,
unofficially also.
unofficially, before January 1st, you're gonna, the city's gonna know who's gonna be on this board, aren't they?
No, because the,
Because we got a meeting the second Monday of the month.
yeah, but we can't get the first city council appointment until our first city council meeting. So, usually the first city council appointment shows up either on the
Sometimes in January.
first meeting in February, usually.
Yeah.
So
They're not, I mean, we
Because I
don't
really
have,
like, there's a lot of this stuff we really need to
Yeah.
hit the ground running.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I agree, but
what I'd really like to do, because, with the Christmas holiday season and all, is that get some things going, then hit the ground, as you said, hit the ground running in January.
Because
Yeah.
we,
and they can always join in.
before you know it's July.
Yeah.
And the APC and the BZA hasn't done
Yeah,
anything.
and January,
Or put out fires.
and January and February are the best months for me to work on things like this.
Yeah.
And I guess another group that can work with me would be another one dealing with the reformatting of the ordinance. Because one of the ones that was suggested by the first one with Adam is that when you're looking at your zoning code, actually it was the other one that you're looking at it, is because right now we have, how we put the sign uses in the matrix in the tables
Yeah,
is doing the same thing with the land uses.
Yeah.
For all the land uses in all the zoning districts. And then the ones that are really redundant is why have them? For example, is why do you have a list, say, 12.5 different types of retail uses when you have a business district for retail, say retail use, office use, you just simplify the language for those.
You can deal with that in definitions.
Yeah, exactly.
That can clear a lot of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, another one that's pointed out is that how do you differentiate between, if you take some ordinances where they have as far, they see bakeries as this industrial scale use. So there's actually been older zoning codes that haven't allowed someone to try to put back a downtown bakery because the only places bakeries are allowed in industrial district. I mean, there's a lot of archaic things in the zoning code and a lot of zoning codes. Yeah, and I won't go back to my rant about millinery again. But yeah, absolutely, Gary, I think so. So so I think another one that in the meantime, we can start working on some things, then the ideas anybody has with things that need to be fixed, if you can put those together for December. And then in the meantime is, for example, Gary, if you and Carrie want to start, we can set up some time, say, to start trying to work on the rules of procedure.
Okay.
Yeah, because, like I said, that doesn't have to go through an ordinance,
Right.
so that's something we can very easily do. Yep. And I don't know, well, I think that, we could probably have it done for January, but since we're probably going to have some new members, probably best to say, boom, these are the new rules of procedure, then give everybody a month to get used to them. Then say, have them on, say, February, boom, new rules of procedure for both APC and the BZA.
And if you don't mind, Bill, I guess what I'd like to see us do,
Yeah.
if we go through rules and procedures, I'd like for us to try to have a meeting, whether it's allowed executive session or what, another public session, where we have some training.
Oh, absolutely.
And we lay all of them out on the table and everybody gets to question, what's this mean? What's that mean? How do we do that?
Well,
Because some of us new ones,
yeah. Okay.
we're learning at every public hearing,
Well,
what we can do and what we can't
Sometimes
do.
it
Well-
takes a full term to really
Well,
get to where.
Well, I think what this would work into then is, maybe one of the things we'd have in the rules is, I think that maybe one session each quarter is really gonna focus on, okay, we're going through the rules of procedure. This is it, this is that, so then having board training, say part of each meeting, once each quarter. Which would probably be a good thing.
That'd be good to have a
Because
hand.
I hope with new administration coming in the city and whatnot, we're so busy with building permits and special exceptions that, you know,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a full schedule on our hands.
Yeah.
I have that faith.
Yep. Okay, Chad, you heard, get cracking.
Hey, guess I better get busy.
I guess so. But, yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah, I appreciate that, yeah, absolutely, we should,
Okay.
yeah.
So it makes me think what would be good maybe is, once we get this, work on this and get it put down, is have a handbook that you hand to each new member that
Okay.
that goes.
Can I
through
give
all
you
these.
some insight? One of the first things we're doing in city council is most government entities automatically fall under what they call the Robert's Rule of Order. There's already a handbook out there, you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Well,
Robert's Rule of Order is designed for, is what most governments follow. I know there's some variations with this board, but if you use that, we're gonna do training with city council for all new city council members, because we're gonna follow Robert's Rule of Order.
well,
And you can adopt it, you don't have to adopt it, but you can say, here's the basis for how it works. All government operations utilize that, and here's what we'll modify, we can add stuff to it, whatever. You can do that just as easy. But the
Yeah,
book's
the-
already made, it's already
yeah,
there.
Yeah, because, well, some of the different sessions I went early on with some of the attorneys putting on sessions about rules for planning commissions and zoning boards.
A little bit different.
Well, one recommendation that they made is whatever you do, okay, have your own rules, but you want to be careful because the person running under Robert's Rules of Order really need to know it. And
Yes.
because you can run into problems if,
Yes.
yeah, so it's recommended having rules and procedures, but not actually doing Robert's Rules of Order.
That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
some of
but
the questions.
You can
we
already,
run
you can
into
use
with-
Yeah.
that, you can use that book and modify is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
oh, that's what you're saying, yeah, that'd be
Yes.
helpful.
Because the book's already done.
Yeah.
Just modify the book, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, yeah, so some of the things in there that we can actually.
Yes, because you're gonna follow the same guidelines, just different terminology.
Yeah. Yep, yeah, because what happened with this, as he explained to Jeff, is that, when I came on board, all that was in place, that was adopted as the rules of procedure, was this little itty bitty pamphlet called "I Move That." I mean, is this little bulk publication pamphlet, and that's what was adopted. And it's like, wow. And so there's also very specific things that the state of Indiana requires to have for the planning.
That's right.
But yeah, it was like, whew. Yeah, I mean, it was.
Yeah.
It was. You go from over the top, so one of the things that happened, I was doing research into different, rules of procedure. And, well, it's unfortunate, it looks like what I had was what we ended up adopting was drawn up by attorneys.
That can be
Because I
scary.
think, I
That can
think
be
a
real
lot of it
scary.
was between elements from Columbus, and I think Carmel was one of the other ones in it. With the-
Either way, you just have to establish a standard.
Yeah.
No matter which standard you go with, that's what you gotta follow.
Yeah. But, yep.
I don't wanna follow the terms.
Okay.
You bet.
Anything else?
Nothing else, we'll move on to director's report.
Bill, if I understand this right, these numbers right, I just want to clarify. We're looking much better this year than a year ago,
Yeah, we are. Mm-hmm.
as far as building, community building,
Yep.
so to speak, and our building economy coming back maybe.
Yep. Well, interestingly, probably one of the big additions to the big change in those total number of permits are the Amish permits.
Really?
Because every one of them is at least, well, they're building houses, they're building one or two accessory buildings. They're building workshops, they're building barns, or in one case, it's all they're doing is basically a buggy shed. So I said, buggy garage. So, It's, so they're, yeah, so it's like, so already what we've seen right here just with this is a pretty fair jump in, just building permits related to the, our new Amish neighbors.
Okay, great.
So they broke ground there, my neighbors around by the creek over there broke ground.
Yeah.
Really?
They're pushing back, getting ready to build.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard that there's some interest in Orange with them.
They're right there,
And-
you mean in Orange?
Yeah,
Oh, I've heard
maybe some type of a community store or
Yeah.
something.
I hadn't heard that.
I've heard that there
Yeah.
is some interest and
Yeah.
some talk about that,
Yeah,
so.
because one of the
That
things.
would be a great,
That would be
Yeah,
something to encourage
absolutely.
us. Yeah.
Well, that would make it a lot easier too, because I've also had conversations and, well, spoken with Becky, and then I've also spoken with some of the different Amish that, there's things they can do is to, because early on I asked, well, what about produce selling, things like that? I said, well, we primarily grow food to feed ourselves. You know, excess is what we sell. So what we do is, I spoke with them and Becky said that, well, if you wish to probably be one for the entire Amish community is, you can sell your crafts, you can sell your produce, I mean, if you know, things that you can, pies that you're baking, you can sell those down at the farmer's market. You know, just go together with the one community, I say, you know, get a booth. And, so, I mean, that's another option. That'd actually be an even better option, is to, get something like that out there in Orange. Because it'd be a closer for them to get it into a store. Then we can get,
but I think also that's something that we need to address in these coming committee meetings. is
yes.
Addressing that new neighborhood.
Yep.
That is forthcoming. We have to look at trying to accommodate their needs and maybe rewriting some things to better accommodate their needs.
Yeah,
Have
well,
we reached-
that's one of the conversations I had with the, so I sent out a question to the Planning Association listserv. I had a call from the, just this last week, from the zoning administrator from up in Elkhart County. He said one of the things that they have, so my question was that, well, how do you deal with the workshops? He said, well, what they do, it's kind of a variation of, in a scale from when you're dealing with home occupations.
Well, I wonder
Yeah.
if that would fall under
Yeah,
the home
so
occupations.
you're going up and one idea, of course, is with the home occupation, for example, all someone's doing an office, they don't have visitors, they don't have a sign, it's like, big whoop. Now, the next one would be if it's gonna be just minimal number of things, say there's gonna be a sign, they might have deliveries or an occasional visitor. Well, there's another level which you can do a staff sign off instead of having to make them go in front of the boards. Then when you get beyond this, such as they wanna use, say, an accessory building, and, or they're gonna do something like a workshop, then it's just increasing the actual intensity of being on the same property. So of course, then when they get to certain sizes, or then they're dealing with conversions, then they're getting into the realm from, in addition to that is, but then they're in the realm, well, the Amish are actually used to knowing when they have to get a design release from the state of Indiana for a Class 1 building. But just, which is one of the things we do with the church in the state of Indiana, has made worked with them on how to do that. So, but, yeah, absolutely, and, yeah, because that's one of the things I was really hoping to do, and of course, it's writing in a way which would be good overall for the, the idea of the rural economy. And, and so of course, because you want to make sure it is just not, it isn't something that's being written that's just for favoring or granting any special favors to just one group.
Right.
Because that whole thing is verboten, but then it benefits
Well,
everybody.
There's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's communities that's been very successful.
Yep.
Just go to them and find out what they did that worked, what didn't work. They'll tell you.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, just like the,
There's
I've
plenty
had
of
some
northern Indiana
conversations with
counties.
Elkhart County
Yeah.
Commissioner, one in particular, and they faced some problems
yeah.
and tried to address it after the fact. Well, it would
We
be
wanna
nice
get, we
to,
want to get ahead of it.
Yeah, the front side of it.
Yeah, and I think another one is because I know some communities have adopted things to deal with the metal wheels.
yeah,
with
so
the,
there'd be some
we
metal
can't,
wheels.
we can't hear what you're saying down here, Bill.
Oh,
You talk quietly.
Metal wheels
so
and,
soft-spoken.
and
Yeah, the
shoes,
metal wheels
shoes.
and the shoes, but
Okay.
things to reduce the wear and tear on the roads.
Yeah.
So it's in working with them beforehand. For example, I know Elkhart County, he's telling me they have, in other jurisdictions I've looked at, they have basically it's just a buggy registration system. And then the aspect of the general fund is, I mean, it's pretty minimal, but you can take that then into, say, okay, this is the fund for the county highway department it goes
Yeah.
into.
Yeah.
Things like that.
They got a
It would,
tax
it
shop?
would be similar to our wheel
For the-
tax and surtax,
Yeah.
but it would be designed for them, and
Yeah.
it would be a local registry.
Yeah,
Not
comparable
necessarily just them,
between,
But anybody that wants a buggy with a
Yeah,
scooter.
yeah.
yeah,
That
and,
wants to operate it
That
on
wants
the
to
road.
operate on
yeah,
the
and
highway.
yeah, so somewhere between the wheel tax and then also what the commissioners adopted for the ATVs.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So they've
things
got-
like that.
They've got several shops going in already then?
Nobody yet, but one of the ones that's moved in over there over in Jackson, down on 100 East is, he's a furniture maker.
Huh.
So,
Good. Any tax shops yet?
uh,
That's a personal note for me.
I've been told that's what the pole barn's for, that's going up.
I need some saddle work done.
Furniture assembly.
Oh, for furniture?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Good deal. That's good.
Yeah, yeah, and so and then what you tie in with it is okay, if they're gonna have more employees, then it increases then what you actually have to do. So basically you're going yeah, there's no impact. Okay, there's a little bit right here. Then it's going to the point where if there's gonna be more visitors, there's gonna be more deliveries, and then the pickups, or more intense use, then this is when it gets into actually the plan commission and the zoning board being involved in the decision.
So do we currently already have that in our,
No,
those
we,
capabilities in our zoning plan, or
No,
is that
we-
something we're need to?
we need, that's one thing we need pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that would put then so,
That, we wouldn't single out just those
No,
families.
no.
That would be for our whole community.
absolutely, so
That would be a
anybody
zoo
else.
system
Yeah.
that we would have.
Yeah, and so what it would do is it make this would also get rid of the verbotens and the approved list that we currently have. And everything's being judged on the individual basis on the potential negative nuisance effect.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work to be done.
Oh, yes, there is.
There's a lot of work to be done.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, for me, it'll be a good busy.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Quite a director's report here.
Yes, yes,
Is
indeed.
there any other questions on the director's report?
Oh, well, we just went through as an example of inferential thinking.
I'll make a motion to accept the
Okay,
director's
motion
report
to accept.
as presented.
And second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item on the agenda is adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.